Hi guys, we are here with Louise Montoya. How do I say? Do I say Luis or do I say Louis?
Luis
Luis
Montoya.
Montoya sounds Latino.
Yes,
All right, let's. I wanna. Can you tell me what it is that you do? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I am a life coach, a fitness, and a business mentor. I help both men and women become the best version of themselves. More importantly, I do work specifically with men who want to better their faith, their finances, their relationship with family, have fun, and just become the best version of who they're called to be in life.
That's awesome. Your 30-second pitch is amazing. Oh my gosh. That was impressive. And actually, I did a little research on your Instagram. I was looking through it. I'm like, man, he's been like, you have some deep wounds. You've been through some stuff. I was like reading one of your posts and like tears just kept going. And I'm like, oh, how did you overcome that? And do you feel like talking about those struggles?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Just overall in a nutshell, I've been through a lot of childhood trauma just from the age of being an immigrant and migrating here from Mexico at the age of 4, being kidnapped by one of my aunt's boyfriends at such a young age
Oh my
in
gosh.
the airport, just seeing how toxic that man was and just him threatening my aunt to kill me and my brother, and things like that, to just being exposed to drugs at such a young age, prostitution, being
Oh my
abused as a
gosh.
child sexually by a nanny, so much stuff. Heartbreaks, losing a child, being bankrupt,
And
homeless.
homeless too.
Yeah, almost committed suicide. You name it, I've done it. But I've been able to change everything by the grace of God. And I'm here to tell my story.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. What when was it that you were just rock bottom? You're like, I'm gonna end this.
Yeah.
That was how in that moment when you almost killed yourself, when was it like did you what stopped that and you just decided, no, this is not, I'm not gonna do that.
Absolutely. So that was after being in a 20-year relationship. The partner that I had at that time, her and I were high school sweethearts.
Oh.
Things were great at its moment. She found out that she was pregnant, told me that I was going to be a dad. And that was my initial moment of wanting to make a change. At that time, I just was not the man that I am today. I was in debt. I was not masculine. I just didn't have my right priorities, and quite frankly, I wasn't the man that she really needed. But I knew that I wanted to change, and I wanted to make that change for her, and I wanted to make that change also for my child. I just wanted my kid to look at me and be proud of his dad. I wanted my kid to say, my dad is Superman. My dad is a superhero. And I decided to make a change and I started to wanting to work on myself. But unfortunately, she ended up having a miscarriage roughly around 4 to 5 months. We lost a child, and I kept ignoring the trauma that came with that. And I thought to myself, if we just don't talk about it, it'll just go away. But she was dealing with it. And I'm not a woman, and I don't understand what women go through when they lose a child, but I know how painful it is for a man to lose a son. And I can't even imagine the pain that she was going through. And unfortunately, I take full accountability for not being there for her emotionally. And that relationship, just the fact that I just wasn't showing up as her safe place, ended up being a toxic relationship. I ended up losing that relationship. Shortly after, I lost the finances. I went bankrupt. I had to declare bankruptcy. I didn't have anybody to spot me, didn't even have my family to support me. And I ended up living in the park for a couple months. And that was my rock bottom. I lost a 20-year relationship. I lost a son. I lost the finances. I lost everything. My world just got turned upside down. And I didn't have a good relationship with God. And my parents found out that I was sleeping in the park for for a while through just friends and family. So this weekend, they're like, "Hey, you can spend the night here." So at that moment, I was just contemplating suicide. I had a cell phone at that time, and I remember just searching on the internet how to commit suicide without the pain. Like I just
Oh
wanted
my
to go.
gosh.
I was Googling how to commit suicide because there was no reason for me to live. Everything that I knew, it was taken from me. So I went to their home and I went inside the bathroom this evening and I took the knife. And I thought to myself, I was contemplating, am I going to hang myself with my belt or am I going to just cut my wrist? And I decided I was just going to cut my wrist. So I took the knife and I took it to my hand. And at that very moment, I just started crying. I was having that conversation with myself in the mirror and I just started bawling. I was crying. And at that moment, for the first time in a very long time, I started praying. And I started praying to God. And I was like, God, I don't know why this is happening. But if you want me to go through this, I can't do this alone. Like, help me, get me through this. And I fell on my knees. And at that very moment, after I said that prayer, I got this flash forward of my mom walking inside the bathroom, seeing me dead. And I saw the look on her face, and I realized how my actions would affect their decision and my decision. And I think that was the Holy Spirit. I think that was the Holy Spirit that picked me up at that very moment. And sure enough, I that was my rock bottom. And I knew I needed to make a change. And I think God planted a seed inside of me because I literally surrendered my life at that very moment to God. So I had a phone and I went back to the park and I had a notepad. And I remember one day I just started surfing the web and I saw Oprah, I saw Kobe Bryant and Will Smith, Jim Carrey, and everybody was talking about the exact same thing. They're talking about the laws of the universe, manifestation, the law of attraction, the law of exposure, karmic debt. And I thought to myself, I said, the more that I started digging into the law of attraction, I realized that this was infinite intelligence that's been passed through generations. And I thought to myself, what do they know that I don't know? So I started studying the laws of the universe. And at that very moment, I took this paper and I decided I no longer wanted to be the man that I was. Like I started creating a new identity for myself. And I always say that your identity is tied to the results that you have in life, right? Your self-worth, right? Your daily habits. So if you're someone who doesn't like your current reality, it's tied to your identity. And the only way to change that is by being a man of your word and creating daily habits, right? So I took that piece of paper and I started creating a new identity for myself, right? So I knew that I wanted to be a good looking guy. I was overweight at that point. I was 100 pounds overweight. And I knew that I wanted to be a good looking, what people call high value. I wanted to be that good looking man who was successful, who had a six pack, but I didn't just want a six pack. I wanted to be the guy on the cover of a magazine, that cover model. I wanted to be financially stable. I wanted to inspire other men. And I always loved suits, but I couldn't wear them. I couldn't wear them, right?
Okay,
Because I was overweight. I was overweight, right? So
oh,
I always thought that the suits were such a masculine look. It was just classy, sophisticated. And I got to work. And at that moment, it's almost like I signed a contract with God and with myself. And at that very moment, I started manifesting who I wanted to become. And I no longer identified with that old version of myself. So I just created what I call a blueprint in 5 daily habits that would help me get closer to my goal. Fast forward to now, I became everything on that list. I've been on 5 international magazine covers. I've been on multiple podcasts. I've been on TV, build a successful business. I inspire men to become the best version of themselves. I wear suits. This is why I wear suits, because it's my identity. A lot of people don't understand it, but it's who I am. It's the image of who I identify myself with. It's kind of like Batman when he puts on the bat suit. Like when I wear the suits, I am in alignment with who I say I am. So it helps me just walk in faith.
you did talk about the suits, the six pack, the magazines, and all of these things, but what about like after all of this, all the earthly things, or I mean, after all of these are out, like let's say you're taking your suit off, what are you really like? What are you made of? The actual things, that the values that also changed because
Everything. everything.
So you became a man of God.
Yeah, it's my core values. So my core values is how I live my life. It's my code. I do believe that every man needs a code to live by. My code is my values. My values is faith, family, fitness, finances, and having fun. And that's in order, right? That's what I identify myself with. I keep saying I use this code. I use this quote that one of my mentors told me: if a man is right, his world will be right. So it starts with taking accountability, self reflection, and taking action, taking massive action, just like Tony Robbins says.
Yeah, massive. Yes, I agree. So your list started with changing the outside in as opposed to the inside out.
Yes. So
Oh,
that's there's power behind that. So when you go and talk to people that do therapy, because I do therapy, so I think every man should, and we all deal with trauma. Every man has to heal himself to be able to create the man that he is proud of, right? But when you talk to people that do therapy or therapists, they always tell you, oh, let's change your mindset, let's work on you, let's work on the internal trauma. But a lot of people don't realize the impact that the outside has in the mindset, right? And the reason I say that is because fitness is essential for everybody to have when they're dealing and overcoming any type of trauma, because it changes your frequency, it changes your vibration, right? There's going to be days, I mean, not every day is going to be a good day. And when you're depressed, when you're at a low frequency, at a low vibration, you're not going to be motivated to want to do anything, right? So when you are stuck at a low frequency, if you let that feeling sit, now it becomes depression, what people categorize as depression. And it's a cancer. It eats you up. You get what I'm saying? So this is why it's so important to go to the gym, change your frequency, because now you're releasing endorphins. And when you release endorphins, now you're transcending into a new frequency, a new vibration. And now you're operating from a place of love. Now you see solutions.
I like that. I never thought about it like that, but it's actually a very good point. But first, you have to find God.
It's essential.
Yeah.
That is the core foundation of my program. I've tried life without God, and I had success, but I never had fulfillment. And even though I'm still not the man that I want to become, because everybody's a work in progress and there's always room for improvement, I have fulfillment. I'm okay where I'm at because I know that I am where I need to be. I'm at the right moment right now with who I am. Even with all the mistakes that I've made in life, I'm right where I need to be because God has called me to be the man who I am right now.
And why do you say that you're not the man that what do you want to do more that you think you haven't reached?
Self-reflection, taking accountability,
Okay.
Working on myself, you know, not operating from a place of ego. Because when you have success, it's easy to let your ego take over. And most of the time, having an ego is great because it protects you, but you're not walking in faith. You're not operating from a place of love. Now, when ego takes over, now you're not compassionate now towards others. You're only looking out for yourself. And right now, that's something that I've been battling, something that I want to change.
Right.
Walking in faith and not in understanding.
So you're trying to be more humble. And what's one thing you learned from, like, one mistake that you made that you're kind of like, man, from a past relationship? Like, say your last relationship. What was the lesson that you learned from?
Don't lie.
You lied.
Yeah. No, it's not that I lied. I feel like I just left information out. I didn't share information that are valuable because even though for me, it was like, okay, there's a time and a place for me to share this. I think everybody should have the opportunity to see you for who you are. And if you're truly trying to find someone who really is there for the right reasons, it's very important for them to see the good and the ugly. Then they choose whether they want to stay or not. And someone who chooses to stay is someone who's operating from love, right? And because most of us, we all do this. We all wear a mask. We want to showcase the best version of ourselves. We're on our best behavior. And we don't want anybody to see the bad side or be vulnerable. But when you can say, hey, you know what? Let me put all the cards on the table. This is who I am. This is the good. This is the value that I bring. And this is all the bad that I bring to the table as well. Now you're giving them a fair opportunity to see, do I want to invest in this man or not? And they can choose whether they want to or not. And if they don't, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Maybe that relationship wasn't for me. But if they choose to stay, now I know in my heart that they're here for the right reasons. Everybody should do this. I think if people were to be more honest with themselves, of like, hey, you know what? This is what I want out of life. This is what I will provide for you. This is how I want to show up for you. This is how I want to treat you. These are the non-negotiables. This is what I don't tolerate. Now they know what they're getting themselves into. Most people don't know who they're dating within the first 90 days, within the first year. Sometimes we don't even get to know that real person because we all put that mask on, you know? But true love, again, is saying, hey, this is who I am.
Wow, so be vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's actually, that was actually one of the questions that I was, when is it that you know I've bonded with this person? Because for me, is when I see them cry, when I see them vulnerable, that's when I'm like, that's when I bond. When do you think, when is that moment you're like, man, this is it. She's the one. When have you actually bonded?
You know, I think men and women are different. I think
Yeah.
women are a little bit more reserved. I think women are a little bit more calculated. I think women like actions, consistency, for them to see, okay, this is the man.
Yes.
We as men, we fall in love through our eyes, unfortunately.
Oh.
But women have intuition, and we have something that I don't even know how to put in words, but we know when the girl is doing it. From that initial moment when we meet, it might take me 5 minutes, might take me one day, but I'll know if I want to invest in this or not.
Oh wow, you're
Yeah.
quick. That's
I don't think it's just me. I think every man. So, and I always say this to the ladies too. If your man is not talking about marriage within the first year or the intention of marriage, he's just leading you on. Because us men, we know from the start. So if that man is not talking about marriage or the intention of a future, he's just using you.
Mm.
Yeah, we know as men. Ask any man.
Very,
We know right from
very
the start.
interesting. Wow. I wanted to do a little would you rather game. I have some questions. Would you rather date someone who only speaks in movie quotes or someone who sings every sentence?
I love musicals.
Really?
I love musicals. I wish my life was a musical, so I'm gonna say singing.
Singing.
Yeah. Oh my God, like Willy Wonka and all these like other movies.
you, you better start practicing that
Yeah.
voice. Would you rather leave without the internet for a year or have every move tracked and posted on social media for a month?
I post too much on social media.
So
That's already my life.
So you're
Yeah,
fine with that? You're used to it
I'm
already?
fine, yeah. And I hate to say it, and some people think I'm arrogant when I say this, but my life is a movie. Like, I think if you were to live your life as the main character of the movie, then you'll start moving different. You'll start doing more. You'll start negotiating with people that don't have the best interest for you. You know, you can
Yeah.
either be the extra in your movie or you can be the main character. And I always say my life is a movie. I love my life. Like, God is working through me.
Praise the Lord. I love that you give God the glory. This is awesome. I love it.
Jesus is king.
Yes, amen. That's so amazing. Time travel dilemma. Would you rather travel 100 years into the past with all your current knowledge or jump 50 years into the future without knowing anything about how the world has changed?
That's a great question. I would
Right.
go back into the past. I would go back if I could choose the time. I've always been like a 40s type of gentleman type of a guy. But if I can pick a time, I would go back to the medieval days.
Oh my
The
goodness.
medieval days.
Because?
Yeah. And you know what? I wouldn't even be a king. I wouldn't even be a king. I would be like the main, general. Like I've been a protector all my life. So I would choose to be like the guy who protects the king. And if I have to lay my life on the line for him, I would.
Oh, you should actually pick the times where Jesus was alive so you could learn from Jesus.
Yeah.
I
We can
would
do that.
see
We
you,
can do that
right?
right now. We can learn from Jesus right now, right?
But like really
Yes.
just touch him.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? Have you been to Israel yet?
I actually, Chris Tomlin, who's a worship singer. He actually does a tour in
Oh.
Israel, which is amazing.
Very nice.
I have not been to it, but that's one of the places where I would love to go. Yeah, maybe right now with all the stuff that's going on, it's probably not the best time, but that's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Have you?
Oh yeah, I lived there for 4 years.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
It's I tell everybody, if there's one thing you need to do in this life to really truly say I have lived a life, it's go to Israel,
Yes.
to the Holy Land.
Mm,
It's living a life without going there. It's not worth. I mean,
of course.
you haven't truly lived unless you've
Right.
experienced, walked through Jesus's footsteps and just.
That's on my bucket list. Sure.
I'm so happy to hear that. You'll be a changed man.
Amen.
Yeah. Would you rather be with someone who wants to travel and explore new places constantly, living a life full of adventure and change, or someone who prefers a stable, predictable life with routines and traditions?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That is a tough one because I am very calculated. How I do one thing is how I do everything in life, and I need structure in my life because I don't like chaos. But one thing that I'm trying to change is being more outgoing. I want to be more present in the sense of like travel, experience more things. So I would say to travel, like
Travel.
someone who wants to travel, adventurous. Yeah, I think
Wow.
that's, we all come to a place in life where we think to ourselves, maybe I got to try something different. To get different results, you have to try something different, right?
That's true,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And to stay young, that's like everybody says the key is to find somebody to get old with.
Mm.
No, it's to find somebody to stay young.
Yes.
You want to keep staying young, doing things that are,
Mm.
you know,
Keep that childhood, that child inside of you alive.
yes.
Yeah, that's
That's
so
key.
important in relationships. Finding someone that you can just have conversations with
Yeah.
for hours, laugh, and just feel like you're both just in a playground, just having fun, and not care about time
Right.
going by. Like that is the most beautiful thing.
It's so important. Like one of those things, like what is love to you, for example? Like I'm really curious. What do you think is true love? What does true love mean to you?
I think people think true love is courting your partner and doing all the nice little fancy things. But to me, true love is choosing the same person every single day, choosing to stay after you see the ugly and the good, choosing to fight for what you believe in, and making the conscious decision to be consistent with that character that you presented to that person in the very beginning, because most people are not the same person in the very beginning. They get comfortable,
Right.
they lose sight, they get distracted, and it's very difficult for both men and women to do that. But I think someone who truly cares, genuinely cares, will choose to be that person.
And like 20 years later, you still choose that person, even though the attraction's not there. It's still.
You know what? It's only not there because you choose not to be that person. So if for me, I want to keep dating my wife. I want to keep romancing my wife. I want to keep showing off my wife and showing up for my wife. Like that's how you keep a relationship alive, nurturing it. It's no different than a flower. If you don't water it every single day, it's gonna die. But if you keep nurturing it through love, patience, communication, consistency, leadership, then you get the best version of that woman every single day, regardless of how much time goes by.
That is so true. I love all your answers. And you just mentioned leadership. And I have a quote from you that I don't know, you mentioned one of those things on your social media. Only a strong man can handle a strong woman. A weak man will say she has attitude and unrealistic expectations. But you also mentioned that men of value want women that are submissive. So a little bit of a contradiction there. Or is it that weak men are men of value? Right? Because I don't want.
Okay, this is good. This is a good question. So let's define high value.
Right.
There's a lot of weak men that are high value,
Okay.
right? Because they bring value financially, maybe on social media or whatever it is. They can still be weak, right? But there's a lot of high value men who don't want a woman who's successful, who is in her masculine, because to me, they're weak. They're weak because they don't want to do the work. Any woman will submit to the right man. You just have to be a real man, and you can get that woman into her feminine. Does that make sense?
Not really.
Yeah. Okay. So what I mean by
I'm an
that-
overthinker, so yeah.
okay. So high value, right? You
Yeah.
said so read me the quote one more time.
Yes, both, right?
Yeah. The one by one.
Okay. Only a strong man can handle a strong woman. A weak man will say she has attitude and unrealistic expectations.
Right.
I agree.
Right. Let's start there.
Yes.
Let's break that down. Okay. For me, I consider myself a masculine man, a strong masculine man. So if I see a woman who's combative, it's because I'm not doing the work. I'm not showing up, providing, leading, protecting, or creating a safe place. Your woman will tell you when you are not showing up in your masculine.
Right.
So for me, I'm not gonna, if she's combative, I'm gonna look inside of me. Your woman is a mirror of who you are. So me as a strong man, if I see my woman being combative with me, I'm strong enough to look inside of me and say, where am I lacking? Men who are weak don't take accountability. They'll blame her and say, I don't want to deal with her. Yeah, I don't want to deal with her. She's got an attitude. She's combative. She's too masculine. But your woman is a mirror of who you are.
Maybe she is masculine because you're lacking.
You're lacking.
You're too
Right?
feminine.
So, and what I mean by being weak is not taking accountability, not choosing to do the work.
I love it. Okay, because now it explains. Because I was thinking, I'm like, and this is good even for those that look at your social media and see that as a discrepancy. Maybe be like, this is contradicting here. Now that makes sense. So I'm glad you explained it. Because it's like, oh, good, very nice. And let's say you can only pick one, and I'm all over the place because I like to just keep you on your toes.
I love it.
Yes, you can only pick one, blonde or brunette.
I like them all.
You can only
one.
Oh, girl.
I mean, she can always dye her hair.
You're smart.
That's a tough choice.
Really? Is it really?
I'm gonna go with brunette.
Brunette.
I'm gonna go with brunette because I do think that darker features are a little bit more attractive.
Too short or too tall?
Is there such thing?
Well,
In what reference can you
well,
phrase that?
yeah, there's no.
Do I prefer shorter or
If you
taller?
had to pick only one,
I'd rather go short.
short. Too muscular or too thin?
Too muscular.
Really?
Yeah.
No sense of humor or laughs all the time for no reason?
I love a sense of humor. I want my woman to be laughing all the
Laughing.
time. Absolutely. It's
But
fun.
everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Eats healthy but doesn't exercise, or eats trash but hits the gym every day?
Ooh, that's a tough choice. I would be jealous if she were to be able to eat, bad food and look good. But health is wealth. So at the end of the day, for me, what I look for is traits that are going to be passed on through generations. So health is wealth. I want a woman who's healthy, who eats good food. Yeah, because it's also going to pour onto my life.
Right? Just gonna feed you trash. Blunt and brutally honest, or overly cautious and politically correct?
Honest.
Blunt and honest. There you go.
Yeah.
Only enjoys deep conversations, or could never have a deep conversation.
Oh, I love to have great, deep conversations. So someone who can articulate what, they want to say and takes the time to say what's in their heart.
Go deep.
Yeah.
That
That's,
is awesome. Yes.
That's something that's like non-negotiable in a partner. I want someone that I can talk to on the phone for hours and feel like we don't have enough time in the day to say everything that we want to say. And even if we're talking for 3 hours, I can still feel like, man, there's still a lot more that I want to tell her. Or, if she's talking, I'm like, wow, I can't wait to hear what else.
talking to them. And how long do you guys talk? Do you live together or not yet?
No, we don't live together, but I think the longest conversation that we've had is 3 hours. About 3 hours.
Usually men after an hour, like, okay.
I'm usually not a talker, but I like to talk on the phone.
Podcasts.
And even in my relationships, I'm not a texter. I'll text, obviously, and especially, I understand I have a business, she has a business, but I would rather just be on the phone. And I'm a 90s type of guy. Like, I love 90s type of love. So I like to write notes. I like to talk on the phone. I like to romance. I'm a Leo. Yeah. So it's just details, connection.
Yeah. What are you? You're a Leo too? Oh, you're both Leos?
So that's fun.
Oh, okay. I don't know
We speak
anything
the same
about that,
language.
but yeah, that sounds
We're
like
passionate. We're passionate about life, passionate about romancing and details and things like that. So it just makes it easy.
very
So I think to
cool.
myself, what would I like?
Yeah. And then you already know.
I already know. She would love this.
Oh my gosh. I think you guys are a beautiful couple.
Thank you.
Imagine you've given the power to go back in time and date a person again. Disregard this question.
Ask it.
I ask it? Okay. Imagine you're given the power to go back in time and date a person again. Who would it be and why?
I
And if she throws something in my head.
No, nobody, because everything in my life had to happen the way that it happened for me to become the man who I am today.
Very good. Nice. Very nice answer.
Yeah, thank you.
Everything happened for a reason. If you were to create a reality TV show about dating, what twist would you add to make it unique and why?
Oh my God, that is a great question. I would get people to meet the friends before they meet the person to see if what their friends say aligns with the person and their actions. Because most people don't take accountability. Most people put on a mask. And I think it would give the person a good opportunity to choose if they want to entertain this or not. Some people listen to outside voices, outside noise, and make a decision based off of what they hear, rumors, and things like that, right? Oh, I heard that this person is this. I heard that. But I think it would be interesting to see who chooses to be like, well, let me see if this is all true. Let me get to know this person and see if this person is really authentic. You know how many more relationships would be successful if people were to actually shut off the outside noise and just be like, let me see if his words align with his actions. Let me get to know the real person, because there's always two sides to a story.
That is so true. You're like just so deep and you have like so much to offer. And I feel like you're an amazing counselor, especially like with all this stuff, life coach too, because you not only you have the depth and all the experience, but the advice, and it's just, let's go. Like, what do you feel like you want to talk, but on a deeper level? That you haven't done, that you haven't discussed in any other podcast, something that you wanted to talk about, you wanted to say, advice, anything you...
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be the importance of understanding how important it is to have Christ as the center of your relationship. That doesn't ever get talked about. I think it's very important for people to choose partners that are equally yoked in faith with them. I think it's very important to put God, because a relationship is 3 people. People think it's 2, but it's you, the man, and Christ. And couples that pray together connect in a deeper level.
Do you have to be the same religion though?
That's really up to you, but I do believe that you should. You should.
Because I'm Christian Orthodox.
Mhm.
If he was like a
Muslim.
Lutheran or some... Well, still, no, I wouldn't go with a Muslim. There's no way. That's not.
Yeah.
No. Christian, still a Christian, but it's a different denomination, different.
Right.
What do you think?
I
Because,
think that can still work. You still believe in Christ, don't you?
but they don't. Well, we do, but we take Holy Communion on Sundays,
Mhm.
and certain denominations don't believe in that.
Sure.
So there's going to be a discrepancy there. And what if he wants to go to his church? And whenever I went once by curiosity, when I lived in Utah, I went to one of those churches where they sing guitars and loud and this, and then the hats, and so much going on. Nothing, no offense, that just wasn't my thing. How do you make that relationship work if, two different worlds?
But pray about it. Pray about it. People don't ever pray about relationships. God will always give you confirmation. If you were to actually pray about your relationship and listen to God's confirmation, God would be like, that's her, she's it, or not. And one of the strongest prayers that people can pray about is, God, if this is for me, help me build this. And if this is not for me, rip it out of my heart. That is the most powerful prayer that people can do. And watch it move as soon as you do it.
Wow. Yeah, I guess you can always, but maybe one can just make that sacrifice. One will have to compromise and just.
That's what it is. Isn't relationships compromising for the better of the relationship? I think that's, everybody can run their relationship however they want, but I think at some level you have to compromise. You have to compromise, but compromise with a conscious future
Right.
of the relationship. How is this going to benefit our children, our future, things like that? But yeah, I mean, I think it can work. It can definitely work.
It could work. And do you think everybody should be married? Do you think,
I think people should date to marry with the intention of marrying. If people were to date with the intention of marriage, you would weed out all the people that are there to just waste your time. Because someone who just wants to sleep with you, someone who wants to take from you, is just going to entertain you. And once you lay the cards on the table and say, hey, I'm actually looking for something serious, I'm looking for marriage, they're going to ghost you. And that's okay, because that person wasn't for you. But at least I would rather have someone who is there for the right reasons than someone who is just wasting my time. But if people were to date to marry, there would be more successful relationships and a stronger foundation in marriages. There would be less divorce.
True. I think I understand from you is do the dating. Just put everything, lay all the cards on the table, throw all the goods and the bads. Just be straightforward from the get-go, and then start building the foundation. So you want to do all those.
That is the foundation to a good, solid relationship. Communication, trust.
Yeah.
Is key. And most people usually give little layers of who they are throughout time. And how many times have you been in a relationship where you're like, man, this person is not who I thought they were? Right?
Sure.
Now you just wasted 3 months of your life. So I would rather get the full authentic version of who that person is and choose at that very moment, do I want to entertain this or not? Because wasted time is something you'll never get back.
Sure. Right.
Be intentional. Date with a purpose.
I love that. That's brilliant. So much goodness. If you have what's your pet peeve? Because we're all weird. We all have like a weird thing about us.
What's my pet peeve in relationships?
Yes, in relationships.
I do not allow disrespect. Public disrespect. It devalues who that woman is in my eyes and in the eyes of the public, because that person represents me. I made the choice to bring that person into my life. So I do not allow any type of disrespect, I don't allow myself to disrespect that person in public, and I would not allow her to disrespect me in public or among others, because she represents me. She's an extension. Your woman is an extension of who you are. And at the end of the day, it devalues both of us, because we made the conscious decision at some point to be partners.
So what would be an example of disrespect?
Yeah. So I'll give you 2 different examples of each one of them. So I would not allow myself to raise my voice in public towards my woman. I would not allow her to raise her voice or disrespect me or name call me or anything like that in public. I would not allow that person. When I say allow, is just, I'm not going to allow that in my life. Mm-hmm. You're welcome to do whatever you want. And even if we're not in a relationship and you go out on social media and you put our business on social media, I'm not allowing that energy to be a
Okay.
part of my life anymore. You can go and do whatever you want. Now you're representing yourself, but at the end of the day, you also represent me, and I'm conscious of that. So I'm not going to make the same mistake twice.
Mm. All right. That sounds. And
So
that's like basically a breaking.
that's
That's it.
non-negotiable.
Okay.
That's non-negotiable.
Even if you've been together for a long time, there's love, there's the
That's
foundation.
non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable because it devalues who you are as a person. I understand people make mistakes, but for me, it is so important. Respect is everything. Once you lose respect, it's very difficult to regain that back. Whether I disrespect her or she disrespects me, it devalues attraction too. Like it lowers attraction, and it respect ties into trust. Now I can't trust you. Now, if I do something bad, are you gonna go tell the world about it? If we break up, how are you gonna move when we break up? You know? And also me yelling at my woman in public or her yelling at me in public it's a trigger that shows that she has not done the work, that she needs to go and heal herself, or I need to go heal myself because I'm devaluing who I am as an individual by allowing that in my life. That form of disrespect belittles the character of that person, and it creates trauma. It no longer brings trust. It's hurtful. Nobody should ever do that.
I don't know what's with men these days and respect. I don't know. Maybe I just lived in a different, maybe overseas. It's just a different ballgame. But lately, I'm hearing this whole. It's gotta be the woman has to respect men. Why? What's with that? Is it ego? Is it like a
It's not,
pride?
well, it's the way that we're wired. We want to be admired and we want to be respected.
So it's the
E-
ego.
it's a form of ego, but it's also in our DNA. So think
Huh.
about this. Think about this. A man will not invest where he is not respected and admired, right? So if I'm not respected at home and admired, and of course I need to be admirable, to be admired. But if I'm in a household where it's combative and my woman doesn't respect me or admire me, I'm not going to want to come home. I would rather, why do you think men go out to sports bars? They go and play video games with their friends. They go play sports, whatever it is that they're trying to do. Even at work, most men, successful men, rather stay at work than go to a combative woman. Why? Because at work, they're thriving, they're conquering, they're respected based off of their performance, they're admired by the high above because they're killing it. So it releases endorphins inside of us. It makes us feel good. So if we're not respected at home or admired by our woman, we're not going to want to invest our time, money, or resources. And I know it's very difficult for women to understand that, but you got to give a little to receive a little. And also men have to follow through with their actions to be admirable and respected. You don't just demand to be respected just because you're a man or admired.
Right.
You have to do the work.
But it's like women have different ways of showing their love, affection, respect. There are different love languages.
Do you imagine if I were to say I'll only love you based off of but how would I want to phrase this?
Mm.
Okay, so men demand respect. When you earn my respect, I'll respect you. When you earn my love, I'll love you.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel? You'd be like, this guy's an asshole, right? When you earn the right for me to take you on a date, when you earn the right for me to treat you like a girlfriend, then I'll treat you like a girlfriend. Why do you think all these guys want to do 50-50 relationships? Because unfortunately, men don't get admired or praised for being good men anymore. Women have this expectation of, oh, when he earns his respect. In the Bible, it says, women, be submissive to your husbands and respect them, right?
Mhm.
If you allow yourself to be submissive, if you allow the man to be the man, he will come through. He will do more. It's the same thing with the woman. If you provide, lead, and everything and make her feel safe, she is going to be the best version and you'll get a better version of that woman for you. but everything's so transactional between relationships. Everybody's out for themselves. What can you do for me? What is the main thing that most men say, or women too? What do you bring to the table?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
What do you bring to the table? Right? If people were to serve more in relationships, they would be more successful.
Right. I think it should be like the first thought should be how can I help the other person? How can I be better for that other person as opposed to what are they giving me?
Right. Well,
So
let's break that down a little bit because I think there's something wrong. I think when you bring someone into your life, you should always think to yourself, how is this person going to make my life better? Right? That's a good state of mind because obviously we want to grow.
right. Yeah.
Okay, so we take that. Now, how can I serve this person to help them grow? Now you become one,
Hmm.
right? The problem is most people don't have both in their life. They just have that train of thought.
Or they focus on just doing
Yeah.
one.
Well, that comes from ego,
Mhm.
right? That comes from ego. And if you drop ego and start operating from love, like when I think about the person that I'm dating, I'm just thinking like, how can I make her life better? Like, how can I serve her? How can I show up for her? How can I be consistent with my actions to make her feel safe? And I understand that when she is laughing, she's in her feminine, when she has that little girl aura, she's thriving and I'm getting the best version of that person. But for me to have her be in that state of mind, I have to look inside of me and provide that rather than saying, well, what is she doing for me? I have to serve, just like Christ did.
Yeah. This hmm. I love that mentality, like the whole masculine, men should be masculine, but at the same time, that stigma of toxic masculinity. So we're having a little bit of a debate on that.
Yeah. Do you want me to explain?
Yes,
Yeah.
please do.
So the best way that I like to put it is the old masculine is about, power.
Mhm.
Shut up and do as I say because I'm the breadwinner, right? The new masculine is about leadership, being compassionate, serving, love, respect, being gentle. That's biblical masculinity. There's toxic masculinity, which is macho. Then there's biblical masculinity, right? Biblical masculinity, right? Who do you think that woman is going to be more receptive to? The man who is that belittles that woman, or the man who inspires that woman to be better, speaks life into that person, right?
Mhm.
So I always say the most masculine man to ever walk earth was Jesus Christ. That should be your role model. Be like Jesus. Jesus was masculine. He was a leader. He was a provider. He was a protector. Yet he was gentle and he was compassionate with people. That's a true masculine man.
So a man that doesn't sin.
We all sin. We all sin. A
So
man,
no, there's
unfortunately,
real masculine out there, I guess.
well,
You can
a
name.
man who thrives to be Christ-like,
So honest and
honest, integrity, consistency, love, devotion, sacrifice. How many people are willing to sacrifice who they are now for who they can become? Not too many. I know that I am, because I know the plan that God has in my life. And I was born as a king. So it is up to me to do the work to become that king. And I'm willing to sacrifice who I am right now for who I can become, even if it means losing everything. Because what I'm going to gain is something much bigger. It's purpose.
I've actually this is actually the best explanation that I've heard.
Thank you.
Even Jordan B. Peterson, you know how he always goes around and does all this philosophical stuff and then loses you, but then it's like, oh, bam, you're pretty close to his theory.
That's a great compliment.
Only that you did it spot on. I think that
That's
was
a great compliment.
yes. I want to make it a little more fun for you because I am like all over the place.
I love this. This is a great conversation.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm happy. And I was thinking to debate that whole engagement ring. Is that off again? Oh, no. Is it? Oh, no. It's still doing its thing. Yours is still. I want to debate that engagement ring thing. And I even have the video, but I'm like, that video had me.
Yes.
Oh, my
That was a
gosh.
great video.
It was a great video, and I loved to see the engagement and see, that had a lot of success for you, for the. So exactly, When you date, you obviously talk to her and you get a sense of where she's at. Like you know her values, you know what she's about, you know if she actually wants you to invest that money wisely or do something else with it, or you know the knowledge that she has behind that diamond industry. You guys talk about all that. And I got your point, because the point wasn't focused on how the cost, and you loved the guy's answer, right?
Mhm.
And in the thing, I can actually link
Yeah.
to your
Yes.
page. So what are your thoughts if a woman says, "Oh, I want a ring that's 20, I want a ring that's 60K."
Yeah.
Do you think she's the one?
So let's break down that video.
Yes,
So
let's do it.
Let's break down that video. Okay. So everybody was so focused. This gentleman bought a $30,000 ring
Right.
for a great woman who brings value in his life. And the guy who asked the question on the street asked, "Well, what does he get in return?" And he answered, he stepped in, protected his wife from a question that was set up to devalue her.
Okay.
And he said, "I get a life partner. I get the mother of my children. I get a companion for life. And I get a girl who's going to take care of me." And I love that answer.
Right.
So
His love reflected, mirrored.
and it's an investment. It's an investment. Now, everybody was so focused on the price of the $30,000, saying
Because
that
that
money,
was the question.
Yeah.
That was the focus of the
right,
video.
right. But the value, the point of it was it's an investment, right? For me, $30,000 to get a life partner, to get the mother of my children, to get someone that I can come home to and feel like she's speaking life to me, I would invest 5 times the amount of that, because that is a small price to pay. But most people were so concentrated on the price of the $30,000, not realizing that if he paid $30,000, he probably makes a lot more money than that. So to him,
He
it's
said that's a lot. So that means
Right.
he didn't. That was a sacrifice.
and even if it is a sacrifice, is she worth it? You know?
To me, somebody that is okay with that, also because you know, whatever the carrot, you know, if it's, I don't know anything about diamonds. I'm not gonna lie. I've never been with it. But if say it's like 2 carat, whatever he mentioned, it, however many carats, it's very easy to find out the cost of that, because you just gotta,
Right.
in this day and age, you just have to Google. So she obviously, and then he asked her, how much was it? As if he had already mentioned the price, but all of a sudden she didn't give an answer. So, which I was like, why would you ask her if she supposedly doesn't know?
Right.
But if you pay attention to all the body language,
Mhm.
I think when you date this person, you know what she's about. You know the essence of the person. If she is, I feel like my lips done. If she is, if she is about that whole, like, she's so shallow that she didn't even go into the details of what it is in that industry, the children that are dying for those diamonds, the money that are pretty much such like what to put it on the nightstand.
Right.
All that money that my man has to work so hard, he has to sacrifice all these for some worthless
Yeah.
carbon, whatever it is, it's a diamond is. So you have to, like, if you have to, like, is she really someone that's deep? Like, if she has no depth,
Yeah.
that's a shallow woman.
I understand what you're saying, but I can't answer this for her. But I would imagine that she has no information of where that diamond comes from or anything. But for me, if my woman asks me for a $200 ring, that's what she wants, I'm gonna get it. If she asks for a diamond ring that's $30,000 and it means the world to her, I'm gonna get it for her. You know, if it's in my means to do it. If it's out of my means, then we're gonna talk about it and we're gonna compromise. But it doesn't mean that she's shallow. Just because I want to drive a Lamborghini, does that make me shallow? Does
And
it?
you can afford it.
Right. If I can afford it. A lot of people would be like, well, why are you paying $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 for a Lamborghini, or paying a $4,000 payment when you can be driving a Toyota? Well, I'm not a Toyota. I am a Lamborghini. It represents who I am. I'm passionate about that. It's what makes me, fulfilled in the sense of like, I spend a lot of time in my car.
Yeah, that's also, but if you have to think about it, the whole diamond industry is also something that causes pain and death. And so the
100%.
Lamborghini, if the Lamborghini was something that was detrimental, that was, doing something bad to the planet, maybe that was a little selfish. But if you think about the whole industry, and do you really want to be with someone that's that shallow? Like if you say she's not shallow, but is it not really
Right.
shallow?
I think the first question that we should be asking about that conversation is she aware where that diamond ring is coming from? If she
Yeah.
is naive and she doesn't know, I don't think that makes her shallow.
What if she still picks the ring after you've educated her?
Then we should probably talk about that conversation. But I'm almost 100% sure she probably does not know what goes into that industry or anything like that. I don't, and again, it's not a sin to want nice things, to want to aim high. For me, I think that's what life is about, to set the bar high, grow, and want more out of life. Like God wants us to be abundant. God wants us to be happy. And when people get shamed for wanting nice things in life, to me, that comes from, like you are actually sinning. I'm not saying you, but the person who is being judgmental, that is a sin, to judge others based off
Yeah.
of what, if
Calling
it doesn't,
someone shallow,
right,
yeah,
right,
that's a sin.
saying that that person is shallow, just because
Yeah.
it doesn't resonate with you doesn't mean that we all have to like the exact same things, right? Now, I understand we were talking about the diamond ring, where the industry, the people that die, do all that stuff. Like that's something that shouldn't be allowed to even be sold. But I'm almost 100% sure the majority of people that buy diamond rings don't even know where that comes from or what industry that is.
Yeah, I think that's something that we need to educate people on
Absolutely.
it. And you're right, like it's probably the appropriate thing to do is have compassion. They just don't know.
Hmm?
They are ignorant on the topic, and yeah, maybe once you do teach them, if they still say I want that, then that's a red flag.
Absolutely. It's definitely a big red flag.
Yeah.
I agree.
So yeah, I was like, man, that's interesting that he would because you're like super deep, but then when I saw that post, I'm like,
Yeah.
um,
For me, it was more based around the fact that I like the fact that the man was willing to invest in that woman. That again, it has nothing to do with the price. But I love how he stepped in and he protected that woman from a question that was set up to devalue her in public.
Right. That was, yeah,
Right?
which is interesting because nobody really paid attention to that angle on the
Yeah,
human.
but because I'm in my masculine and I saw him as a protector and he protected his wife, that's what every woman should look for. A man that is willing to step up and protect you in public at any moment.
Hmm. That's yeah,
What
that
do you
is
want
true.
what do you want your partner to, if someone's about to disrespect you or someone's trying to shame you in public, and if your man is saying, would you respect your man if he just sits there while someone else disrespects you in public? How would you look at your man?
Yeah, I obviously um my masculine would come in and I protect myself,
Right.
but
But if
um,
there's a gentleman on the street who
yeah,
is verbally disrespecting you and your man does not stand up for you in public, would you allow that? Would you entertain that man? Would you respect that man?
yeah, obviously I would have a
No,
problem.
exactly.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's our duty as
yeah,
men to stand up for our women and
I
protect
agree.
her from any type of harm. That's what a real man does. And that man did it nicely.
The moral of the story.
Yeah,
The focus should have been on that,
yeah.
on the
I saw the
positives.
little things. I saw the little things on that video. I was like, good job. I love that. I was not even focused on the money of that. I love how that man protected that woman in public. That was truly beautiful. And I think
Yeah.
more men should do that.
Although some people thought that was belittling the girl because she didn't get to say much. So depends on, yeah, you got the woke people out there. But yeah, I'm glad I got a little bit of a conclusion on that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, distance relationship, I've done that before. How long do you think a distance relationship would, how long do you
As,
think you can entertain that? Yeah.
as long as you're willing to put in the work.
So when do you need that physical? When do you think, okay, I need to go see her?
Well, that's something that every relationship should talk about. I think you have to be clear about what the expectations of the relationship should be, what you're wanting out of the relationship, and come to a agreement. And if you're willing to agree with it, do it. Everything is, to get a good relationship, you're gonna have to sacrifice, whether it's in person or out of state, long distance. So it just comes down to consistency and being intentional with what you want, just keep being that person every single day, choosing to do it.
A lot of men these days, they can't do the whole long distance relationship because of the social media being so tempting.
Yeah. I think that's because most men don't date with a purpose. Most It's easy to entertain something rather than to work for something that is worth building. Yeah, we have access to so many people. I'm pretty sure I can go on my DM and entertain someone who's in my city, same thing as her. But love is a choice. You choose to work on what you believe you see value in.
Okay.
And for me, if, yeah, I might have a bunch of people in my DMs, she might have a lot of people in her DMs, but I see no value in that. And I see value in her and what she does for me and what I do for her. So I choose to work on this every single day.
Amazing.
Date with a purpose.
Date with a purpose. Love it. Oh, I'm excited. I'm coming to the wedding. I'm inviting myself. All right, let's do the game. So these will be questions. Um, let's see. You are gonna have, let's see, love myths debunked for edit to keep engaging, encourage. Okay. I guess you'll just have to tell me what you think. If it's a myth or not. Couples who fight a lot are not meant to be together. Is it a myth or
That's a
not?
myth.
It's a myth. Why?
Because no relationship is perfect.
What if they fight like every single day for a whole year?
Well, we have to dig deeper into what a fight is. Yeah. Some people might take a fight as a discussion or a disagreement. You know, if you're going to disagree on things, no relationship is perfect. To me, a fight is something that it allows, that brings in disrespect, and I would not allow that. So I think you're going to have disagreements. You're not going to agree on everything. That doesn't mean that you can't be together or you're not meant to be together. I think that's a myth.
Fantastic. The partner who earns more should have more say in the relationship.
That's a great question. I think that's a myth.
It's a myth, though. Yeah, that ended again, but that's fine because this is we'll stick on you. Jealousy is a sign of true love and care.
That is not true. That is not true. That is a red flag.
Really?
Yeah, because jealousy comes from a trigger.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think when a man is jealous, he is threatened by another man, right? He does not know his worth. That stems from childhood. There's something that must have happened in his childhood because a man who knows his worth and a man who trusts his woman wouldn't get jealous. Yeah. If I'm dating someone who's attractive, I understand that she's attractive and there's other men that are going to want to talk to her. I'm going to sit back and see how she handles that in public.
Right.
I think men that are jealous or women that are jealous, that stems from something that's lacking in their life.
And that's
And, again, that does not mean that I like other men talking to her. I think a little bit of jealousy is normal. That's where the
Sure,
protective
get at.
side comes and stuff like that. But someone who's like, no, you're not allowed to do this. You can't do this and that. Someone who's controlling shouldn't be allowed in relationships. I think that stems from something that you're lacking.
Shouldn't a woman just have like her boundaries? Like, hey, these are the things that I don't like. I don't like when you go and put little hearts on women's posts. I don't feel comfortable with you because I feel like that's sign of a disrespect if you go there and try to like compliment all these women. But then would he at the same time he could say, oh, this is a red flag. She's too jealous and controlling.
That should be the standard in every relationship. That should not be allowed from the man or from the woman. If you are in a serious relationship, you should not be entertaining outside parties and acting like you're single.
It's true. Yeah.
Right?
And so what happens in that case? Like,
Well, I think people, again, for me, if that were to be my relationship, if I see my partner entertaining other men, I don't want to entertain her. I'm not going to take her serious. There's no relationship. If I'm doing that to her and I'm we're in a serious relationship and I'm hearting other photos or liking, promiscuous women's photos, then I'm disrespecting her. And I don't think she should entertain me. And she should have her boundaries set where she should walk away from me because now I'm disrespecting her and she should know her value.
I loved that answer.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because I think about something and you're already answering. I'm like, yes.
I love these
It's like,
topics. This is what I live
this is
for.
your thing. Yeah.
This is my thing. And I think more men don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to be accountable in relationships. And it's easier to bring the lowest version of who you are because women allow that. This is why men don't want to invest. If women were to be like, let me set boundaries, let me set the standards, and I'm not going to entertain anything that doesn't even meet that, men would actually do their job as men. And men, when I say things like that, they don't want to hear it because they don't want to be accountable. I'm in a place in life where I can take accountability for myself and understand if I want better, I got to do better. I got to be better
Nice.
because I deserve better.
Right. So there's no mercy there. If she's, girl, you better not put in little hearts, nothing. You gotta, yeah.
And it's the same thing for me. I have to be accountable to be mindful of how I represent my partner, because it's easy for me to be like, well, I didn't see that, or that didn't mean anything. But I know every man, when we choose to hit that bind, we're very conscious of what we're doing. Any man who says, oh, it didn't mean anything, or you're not being accountable. You're not being a man.
Right.
Take accountability. You did what you did. Take accountability. Own up to it.
Yeah.
And deal with the consequences.
Love it. Oh, if your partner truly loves you, they should be able to read your mind or understand your needs without verbal communication.
That is not true. The world would function so nicely if that were to be true.
The world would
But
be...
men, what is it? Men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Yeah.
And also we all love differently. There's different love languages, and
True.
I think if people were to invest time to understanding their partner, of how their partner receives love and gives love, then they would be more successful in their relationship. But maybe the way that I express my love through words of affirmations might not be the same way that she loves me. And she might have other different ways, but I think communication is key. You can't read someone's mind.
Right.
Can you imagine how beautiful the world would be if I can
Be
read what you're thinking
amazing.
about right now? Yeah.
Actually, not really, because all you will see is a bunch of food. I'm like, oh my God, why is she thinking about fish right now? I can't even think straight. I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
But yeah, opposites attract and lead to more passionate relationships.
That can be true. That can be true. That can be true. The reason I say that is because in this moment in my life, I am such a go-getter. I'm so centered, and how I do one thing is how I do everything in life. But if I were to bring someone who is a little bit more adventurous, someone who shows me to enjoy life a little bit more, which is the opposite of me, it can complete me, and it can,
Wouldn't that add a little chaos in your life, and you don't like chaos? Because
I don't. But again, if the future aligns with both of us, there's a reason why there's a yin and the yang. Opposites do attract when you become one. Does that make sense?
right, at first they actually reject themselves, but then they come back, and then that's when it's like, oh,
Well, I think when you're entertaining a relationship, you have to think about, is this serving the purpose of our future together? Most people go into relationships based off of where they're at in life right now. They don't think about future. They date for who that person is right now, rather than thinking about, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, does this align with us? Does that make sense?
so you always want to think.
Absolutely. Then otherwise, what are you dating for? If you're not dating for a future, if you're not dating to marry, then what are you doing? You're just wasting time. You're just using people's time, right? If I'm going out and I'm not dating to marry my girl, then I'm using her time to get by. I'm using her body for my pleasure. And quite frankly, it's a disservice to that woman.
Hmm. Do you think, and this is, but we'll go back to the game. Do you think a woman should wait
Hmm.
for marriage to have sex?
That's a great question because I can't answer that. Because I've sinned. I've never been married and I've had sex, so I would be a hypocrite by saying yes, she should, or anything like that. I'm not in a position to answer that because clearly I've had sex.
I see.
Yeah, yeah. And I respect everybody's opinion, and I wouldn't judge anybody based off of what they choose to do in life. I think sometimes when you know, I think when you know, and if the connection is there, and if you feel safe with that person, for me, I just say you should always pick wisely who you choose to let inside of you because that is an exchange of energy and you carry that energy through life. So be mindful about that. But to wait for marriage, like, you know, I think that would be the most ideal thing, but I'm not in a position to say anything because I'm a sinner.
Yes, of course, we all are. But and a lot of people are saying, well, they give the example of I'm not gonna buy a car without test driving it. So, and they're basically saying, well, if I, but to me, it's like, yes, because I've done all my research on that car. This is the car I want. I've seen it. Maybe I've even walked around it, went inside. I didn't test drive it, but I know and I have the money for it. I'll put it on my debit. This is it. Because once you know, you just know. But maybe I'm just weird. But I do think women should wait for marriage.
I think ideally, yes. I think yes. Not just women, but men too.
Men too.
You know,
Yeah.
we got to keep men
That would be
accountable too.
amazing. Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
I agree. Yes. Because you guys have one more night in Vegas.
Damn, I'm not gonna get any tonight.
I just ruined it for you.
Damn. I'm not getting any tonight. It's
My
okay.
goodness. Oh man, I just ruined it for you. A successful relationship requires a great romance like those seen in the movies.
Yes, I agree with that.
Oh yeah?
I agree with that. I think men should romance. I think a true gentleman romances life, and everything that he does in life should be romance. His woman, the way he treats other, the way he presents himself, the way he dresses, how he creates experiences for other people. That's a true gentleman. I think it's essential for a man to be that. Like I find romance and life going hand in hand together.
Love it. Huh. What is your favorite movie? Romance movie?
Oh my God.
It's probably a musical.
No, don't judge me on this one.
I'm very judgmental.
But-
I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
Just a little bit.
The Notebook is such a beautiful movie. The message behind that, because I think a lot of the
Yeah.
times when what's yours will always be yours, and no man can destroy that. And in that movie, it literally represents that. You know, they start off together, you know, different economics, they part ways, they meet different people, but life brings them back together. And they choose to keep showing up for each other.
Yeah.
That's true love.
That is.
That's such a beautiful message.
Yeah. Can you imagine having that?
I had the idea.
Yeah. Living together before marriage can prevent future divorce.
Yeah, you're putting me in the hot seat.
Mhm.
Let's see. That's a personal choice. That's a personal choice. If I were to want to do
You should be a
things,
politician.
yeah,
He should be a politician.
plead the fifth.
Yes. You're way too smooth. It's a personal choice.
It's a personal
No, I'm
choice.
asking you.
Hey, well, I think it all depends in the person. I think it all depends on the person.
I'm talking about you. Jeez.
I think it all depends on the person that I am entertaining.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Duh. Okay.
Yeah. If she's displaying all the qualities that I want, I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. I see. Having a child together will strengthen or a weaker relationship.
No, that's going to make the relationship worse. Yeah.
So-
Now you're going to be trapped for 18 years or more, a lifetime. Yeah. I think people got to be more mindful about who they want to create children with. If women would make better choices, I know it's difficult and stages in life and things like that, but I think if women were to be a little bit more mindful and kind of slow down a little bit more and
Mm.
really think about, is this someone that I am willing to have children with and choose more wisely, I think we would have a better world.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I say that is because people are just not very mindful of who they allow inside their body. And it's not to put the heat on women, because there's a lot of men out there that portray something that they're not. They lie, they manipulate, and things like that, and they don't want to take accountability. There's the same reason why there's so many households that are broken. But I think if women were to just slow down a little bit more and be more mindful of who they allowed inside of them, we would have more loving relationships and more households that are, around marriage.
I feel like we're pretty much the same person in different bodies. We're like we could be the best friends. I'm telling you. Oh my gosh, same answers I would give. It's not if it's not true love if you're not thinking about your partner all the time.
That is not true. I don't think about my partner all the time. Sometimes I think about pizza. Sometimes I think about how much money. Yes. Sometimes I think about food. Sometimes I think about money. Sometimes I think about my girl. Sometimes I think about, what did I do yesterday? Because I already forgot.
Right. Yes. Love at first sight is a solid foundation for a lasting relationship.
That's a myth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a rhetorical question. Imagine you had a chance to read. This is we finished with a myth. This is a question I had. I went into a little group, and let me know when you get too tired of this, because or you need a break, or if we've been over an hour. I don't even know, time goes by. And so I have a group, and I asked them, hey, what questions should I ask this person? And I have different people that asked this for you.
Oh, wow.
Imagine you have a chance to revisit a moment from your past. Which moment would you choose, and what would you do differently, if anything?
And got me thinking on that. Again, I don't think I would change anything about my past, and I'm so set on that. I'm set. As much as I would want to change a lot of different things of my past, I can't, because everything led me to who I am today. And if God wrote my story this way, me changing something would overwrite what God's plan is for me.
That's a very interesting question, yeah. That's true. If you could make a difference in the world, what would you do? How would you improve the world?
I would do what I'm doing now. Be the man that create the man that I'm proud of, and share that man with the world, and inspire other men to be better. That's what I'm doing, man. I'm walking. That's how I impact.
Very nice. And you wouldn't do anything more?
I would try to do as much as I can every single day, but God knows that I'm trying my best here.
That's good. Why does the society think it's okay for an older man to be with a much younger woman, but not for an older woman to be with a much younger man?
I don't see any problem with that.
Age is just a number?
Age is just a number.
Maybe birthing, but then in this day and age, you can always, a lot of women freeze eggs, surrogate mothers, and all these other things. Not really, not a religious, that's against my religion, but, so you see you don't see a problem with that. From a psychological perspective, what attracts younger individuals to older partners and vice versa?
Yeah, I don't see a problem. You like what you like. Who are we to judge?
Right. And what do you think is why do you think men are attracted to younger women?
I think men like to create experiences for women. It's kind of hard to find a woman your age who you can show the world to, that you can create experiences for. And I think men, it's easier it's easier for men to choose a younger woman who hasn't experienced life to mold that woman into who they want as a partner than it is for an older woman who's been through stuff, unfortunately. But it all comes down to the quality of the man. If that man is really a real man, he can keep creating experiences every single day.
Oh, you think he might be intimidated? He probably thinks, oh, she's already been there, done that.
Well, yes, it goes back to men taking the easy route. Most men find it easier to mold a woman who has no understanding of life than to be questioned by a woman who understands life. It's the easy route for men.
I love that.
I know you're gonna hate me.
Yes. But I mean, no,
Accountability is everything. That's what
true.
I'm here to do, to teach men how to be accountable.
They're still gonna hate you.
I don't care what people think.
But yeah,
Right?
that is awesome. Yeah. And if you could invite any three people to a dinner party to give you relationship advice, who would they be? And what's the first question you would ask them?
God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus. Those are my three people. And I would ask them, can you confirm that she is the one? God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit.
And what would you prefer the answer to be? Like, of
What?
course,
The truth.
the truth. And what are your expectations in the one?
That she is a woman of God.
That's it?
That's it. Because if she is a woman of God, she's going to love me right. Because she's walking in faith and she understands what God is calling her to do in life. It's so important to have a woman who has a good relationship with God, a godly woman, just like it is to have a man of God. Because if a man is walking with Christ, not a Christian, but a man who's actually walking in faith with Christ, he's going to love you right because he understands what God is calling him to do in this relationship.
Mm. And I think you mentioned something about she has to have a letter A, a letter I, and 5 foot something, and all these other. You had more specifics.
that was
Okay,
that's
that was just-
clickbait. That's just
Okay.
engagement.
I see. I was like, wait. Dang, he's going into details.
Yeah,
All right. I'm like,
that's
what's
just having fun.
okay? That's just social media. What's the most unexpected lesson about love or dating you've learned from being single when you were single?
Having no expectations. I think people go into relationships expecting certain things. And when you're dating, when you're single, if you can show up to a date without any expectations and just think to yourself, can I just have fun and enjoy this person's company and get to know this person? You're gonna always have a great date for the most part.
Right.
Yeah. You imagine if guys were to be like, think to themselves, instead of thinking that if I pay for dinner, I'm gonna have sex. If if I'm providing for her, I'm expecting things. And if women are, expecting guys to pay for the date and so on, what if you were to just be like, you know what, I'm the man, I should be paying for the bill. And you know what, let me just go find out who this person is. I just want to make her laugh. I just want to have a good time. Then you actually get a good experience and you actually get the authentic version of that person because there's no expectations. And if I paid for the bill, doesn't mean that I have to sleep with her or she has to sleep with me or anything like that. Yeah. I think it takes a lot longer for a girl to get ready than for a guy. It takes me 10 minutes to pick up my suit and do my hair, but it might take her, hours to get ready. And that is the investment that she's putting in. That's worth the $200, $300 bill that I have to pay or whatever amount it is. She's investing her time. And if she's getting pretty, it's for me because she cares about me. She's investing time to look good for me. That's already a big enough investment for me to pay for the bill.
You're not making it easy for the other man. You know that, right? You,
Yeah.
oh, poor guys. Yeah.
It takes a lot to be pretty, especially in today's world. It's a lot of time. And, women go
effort,
through a lot. They have
dedication.
to shave, they have to put on lashes, they got to do their hair, they got to do all these things. And
Yeah.
while all I have to do is just shower, do my hair, and pick out what color suit I want to wear.
Really, because you also hit the gym a lot. You're also, of
course.
doing that healthy diet. That's also a lot of
Of
work.
course. Of course.
So they good-looking men also have to do a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But if a woman is getting pretty for me for a date night, it's because she wants to impress me, because she cares about me. They might say that they're doing it for themselves, but at a subconscious level, they want to look good for me. They're making the time and investment.
That's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that.
That's very nice. One last question.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you wish I would have asked you?
I think you covered so much. I think you were great. You asked all the right questions.
But I feel like,
Yeah.
man, I'm literally not even half of what I wanted to ask, because it's like, man, very interesting, very interesting person. So, I've covered everything.
Yeah, you're amazing. You're amazing. I
I think
appreciate your time.
you're the amazing one, you guys. I'm like so thankful, and thank you for making the time. And
Of course. Thank you.
I'd
for
love
having
to
me.
keep in touch, and maybe, come up with more episodes later on.
Absolutely. Let's do it. I'm here.
Yes,
Love this.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.